Hello again. I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur City Manager, and it's my pleasure to bring you these weekly updates about the pandemic and about the other goings-on of your local Decatur government. The recent positivity rates for our region, Region 6 in the state of Illinois, is 3.6%, and the positivity rate for Macon County is 2.1%. These numbers track very closely to the numbers from the last time that I reported to you and continue to be very good. The number of vaccines administered here in Macon County is now almost 17,000, although that's still only about 18 or 19% of the total population. One of the reasons why that number continues to lag is because the number of doses that we receive here in Macon County has been fairly fixed at around 1,000 a week, and sadly that number is going to decline in the weeks ahead. Maybe as few as 300 to 600 doses a week. And that's doses of the vaccine that are distributed to hospitals, to Crossing Healthcare, and to the Macon County Health Department. That number does not include doses that are independently delivered to CVS and Walmart pharmacies. At its last meeting, the City Council continued to discuss how they can take measures to financially soften and blunt the effects of COVID right here in our community. They've already allocated money for rent and utility assistance and to help small businesses, and taken other measures to soften the blow. And we do this through lots of different grant programs. The city has been, thankfully, fairly successful at getting state and federal grant programs into our community and using them to the max. Each program has different rules that we have to follow, and we have to go through all of that. And so there's some frustration, I'm sure, on the citizens' part because, well, they were able to get funding over here, but not over here. So we, through these videos and through the other public information we produce, we hope that we can help chart a course through some of that. So at the last City Council meeting, the City Council talked about one of those funding sources. It was called CARES. And what they decided is that because there's already a lot of funding out there for rent and utility assistance for small businesses and for traditional training programs, that they would focus on two other areas. The first is attempting to put resources into programs that help retool people for different skills and for different trades so that they can find a different place in the workforce, especially if, for example, they might have been idled by a job that may not be coming back in the service sector. And the second category of funding that they wanted to direct some of these grant monies to was for the kind of unanticipated, frankly, relief that might be necessary down the road, perhaps when evictions start again or when some of the existing government programs start to run out and some of the existing social service agencies might need to be shored up. So when COVID has that impact, then we want to be ready by having some money in reserve for it. Almost all of the money that we receive for COVID relief has to in some way be related to COVID, related to the impacts that have happened as a result of COVID. Somebody lost their job, or they've lost an income stream from something else, or in some other way they might have less secure housing or something else. It has to somehow, directly or indirectly, be related to COVID. Despite the COVID and the pandemic and the way that it seems to have captivated all that we think about in local government over the last year, I want you to know that your city government continues to do the regular work of city government. For example, at its last city council meeting, the mayor and council approved an agreement with the Decatur Public Schools to build new sidewalks jointly. We're sharing the cost in the area of Johns Hill. As many of you know, the school district is building a new school there. The Howard G. Buffett Foundation has funded some significant improvements on the green space to the south of that new school that's also owned by the school district. And in the spring, when we do have warm weather, the Buffett Foundation has funded some significant infrastructure improvements in that Johns Hill neighborhood, including curbs and gutters and new streets and streetlights and other public improvements that will help that neighborhood. But in all of our planning and all of that generous funding, it didn't include some sidewalks around the school's property, and so the city and the county are working together on a joint project there. We hope it's the first of many, not just with the school district, but with other units of local government around Macon County. Because in this era, when resources are so short, we need to work together to jointly do projects that are more efficient and cost the taxpayers less, because two or more local governments got together to do it. The City Council also transferred yesterday a tract of land it owns over in the 300 block of East Wabash to the Crossing Healthcare. They're continuing to expand their campus. They're continuing to expand the services that they provide for the community. So the city donated a piece of land that they thought would be useful for some of those services. Again, these are just small examples of how not only the units of government, but also the not-for-profits in our community need and should work together for the improvement of the community. In a similar way, the City Council has been working with Mueller Company, as well as with the Economic Development Corporation here in Decatur, to improve the area that is west of Monroe, north of West El Dorado, and south of the Norfolk Southern tracks over there on the west side of the Mueller facility. In years gone by, that was a rather ugly looking property because it had some debris on it associated with a company that dealt in debris, and last year they cleaned all that out. And what's coming this year is the construction of a new parking lot. It required the assistance of the city in several different ways, one of which was the vacation of a right-of-way. So we're pleased to be helping with economic development in that way and helping that part of the community. It's what the city and the Economic Development Corporation do. Finally, I want to remind you to vote in the upcoming municipal primary election. It's next week on February 23rd. This election will narrow the field from about 12 candidates down to 6. And you'll need to vote again on April the 6th, which will be the general municipal election. So once again, February 23 is when it reduces from 12 to 6, and then on April 6th, the number of candidates for city council will be reduced from 6 to 3. I'll tell you that just within the last 24 hours I voted, but I was only the 213th voter to go down to the county building right there on the first floor in the county building at the corner of Wood and Main Streets. So please come out, take time to vote for the city council member candidates of your choice. I can tell you that WAND interviewed 10 of the city council candidates and put those brief interviews on the WAND website. WAND's own Dawn Sterling did all the interviews. She asked pretty much all the same questions of the candidates, so you can watch and listen to the candidates' responses to those questions in their own words, and that will make you perhaps a more informed voter. But most important, remember that you have to vote twice, both on the 23rd of February in the primary and in the general election on the 6th of April. Thank you for the ways that you've helped us in providing the services and for the way that you engage with the city government by voting in other ways. And I look forward to bringing you more of these updates in the weeks ahead.